ஸ்டேஜில் வைக்கலாமா? இல்லை பிரின்ஸ்பல் வந்தாங்க. ஆடியோ கம்மியாக இருக்கு மைக்கு. ஆன் பண்ணிட்டாங்க.
Very good morning to one and all. On behalf of Botany Department and Queen Mary's College, I take immense pleasure in welcoming you all for coming for this Viva Voce examination. I am very happy. The candidate, she belongs to our family, that is our department, that's Botany Department. She is the daughter-in-law of our senior professor, G. Margaret Madam. Actually, my hearty welcome to our senior professor Nirmala Madam. This shows her affinity towards our department. Even though after retirement, she is encouraging us to pursue our research activities. And apart from that, I welcome our external examiner, Dr. Mujira, and also the professors belonging to other colleges, Dr. Murugesan, then Tenmoli, and the staff member from SIT, then DNB Vaishnava College, am I right, that Nirmala, Dr. Nirmala, and our staff members, then research scholars. Actually, I am very much happy that our department, Botany Department, has produced 21 PhDs. That is, it is remarkable one to say here. Actually, without doubt, our college, it is a very notable college for higher education as well as for the research. I wish our staff members have to pursue this interest without any that is a break. See, they have to show full interest towards encouraging our students for research activities. This is an opportunity for us to serve for the students who have come from poor background. See, this is our duty of our staff members, teachers. So we have to encourage the research activities. That is the motto of higher education also. See, with this I finish my small welcome. Actually my best wishes to my candidate, not my candidate, that is a supervisor. She is my student, so indirectly she is also my candidate. See, without doubt, as you know, Poongalli is a sincere and hard-working student in the past. Now the hard-working professor in the present, and she will be continuing to till her service. And also, without saying, as mother-in-law, the daughter-in-law also will be the very smart one. to do the research work. Best wishes for the Viva Voice examination. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am, for your wonderful speech. I request the Katpanga ma'am to deliver the address.
எல்லாத்தையும் கொடுத்து நீங்கள் கொண்டாங்க.
Good morning, Principal Ma'am, and good morning to all the staff members, professors from various colleges, SAET, Pachapas College and other colleges, and also my own colleagues. And I find it a great pleasure to welcome two of my professors, Professor Nirmala Madam and Jean Margaret Madam. I am proud to say that I was a student of these two people, and now her daughter-in-law is standing before this place to present a presentation, and she is a student of one of my colleagues. I am so proud of this, and I welcome all present here for the presentation, and I extend a hearty best of luck to the candidate Valentina.
Thank you, ma'am. I request the supervisor to honor the principal and the examiner. Principal and the examiner. Supervisor to introduce the examiner and the research scholar.
Respected Principal and my Guru, Dr. Rajesh Lochna Ma'am, Head in Charge is Dr. S. Katpanga Ma'am, External Examiner, Dr. Mujira Fatima, Distinguished Senior Professors, Dr. Jean Margaret Ma'am, Dr. Nirmala Alexander Ma'am, Dr. S. Murugesan Sir, and professors from various institutions, Dr. Nirmala and SAT College professors, and professors and colleagues from our college and botany department, non-teaching staff and dear research scholars. Good morning one and all, and a warm welcome to you all. A special welcome to Dr. Mujira Fatima, who has accepted to be a Vivos examiner for J. Valentina. Professor Mujira Fatima, Associate Professor, Head of the Department of Botany, Nandanam Arts College, has done her undergraduation from Stella Maris College and post-graduation and research from Pachapas College. She is a university rank holder both in UG and PG. She is an active researcher guiding both MPhil and PhD students and has 40 research publications. She is the chief coordinator for +2 textbook revision committee. She has visited many countries such as UK, USA, etc. She has received Tanshare project funded by Tamil Nadu State. This is a proud moment to have her here. Thank you, ma'am. Let me introduce Mrs. J. Valentina. She has done her UG and PG from Bharathidasan University. She has worked as scientist in International Institute of Biotechnology and Toxicology, where she has worked under a project from Oxford University on GM mosquitoes. Her present research focuses on potentials of seaweeds. India is a peninsular country where seaweed resource is enormous. Countries like Japan, China, etc. are exploiting the resource, but in India it is not fully exploited. The knowledge of seaweed research would enhance the living of fishermen and humanity. The present research focuses on thalassotherapy, that is, the seaweed is called as a thallus, and this thallus can be exploited very well. The present research focuses on remediation of oil pollutants spread on sea coast. The tolerant seaweeds were identified from this research which could degrade the oil pollutant. The second work focuses on mosquito larvicidal activity from seaweed extract. The third research actually focuses on aquafeed potentials. The protein-rich seaweed meal will benefit the nutrient status of the Indians and income status of the country through trade. With these few details, I hand over the proceedings to the Viva's examiner. Thank you.
Distinguished Principal of the College, Dr. Rajas Rujna, Head in charge of the Department of Botany, Queen Willis College, Dr. Karpagam, the Supervisor of the candidate Valentina, Dr. Puruli, distinguished professors of this college and other colleges who are present here, and dear students. Actually, this is a proud moment for me too, because this is the first Viva exam that I am conducting. It's my maiden venture, and I'm really thankful to the university and supervisor for having suggested my name for this job. We are all actually eagerly waiting to see the candidate's presentation. So now I invite the candidate, Ms. Valentina, to present her Viva in defend her thesis.
Good morning, one and all. I'm here to defend my PhD thesis titled Phytoremediation, Mosquito Larvicidal Efficiency and Aquatic Potentials of Seaweeds Collected from Bay of Bengal Coast, India. To introduce my topic, India has advantage of favorable climate, reduced fauna and flora, and its long coastline to support its marine life. Seaweeds. Seaweeds are one of the most important marine living resources and is believed to be the futuristically promising plants. These plants have been a source of food, feed, and medicine since ancient times. In order to harness the rich potential of seaweeds in the present use, it needs to be diversified for the other areas of application. So, with this background, an attempt has been made to highlight the prospect of Indian seaweeds in following applications. So, one is as a larvicidal potential of seaweeds, and another as a seaweed as a oil remediant, and in the field of aquaculture as a supplementary fish feed. So the first one is the collection of seaweeds and phylogenetic studies. These are the seaweeds that I used in my studies. So collection of seaweeds. The seaweeds such as Pedaena tetrastromatica, Spathoglossum asperum and Turbineria conidus were collected from the shore of Mandapam, that is near Rameshwaram, and Gratilepia flisina was collected from Kovalam beach. So the collected seaweeds were identified morphologically. Then it was further confirmed with the phylogenetical studies. So total DNA was extracted and examined for further studies, and this gel picture shows the genomic DNA of seaweeds, and the next gel picture shows the PCR amplification. So these are the phylogenetic trees of Turbineria conidus, Pedaena tetrastromatica, Spathoglossum asperum and Gratilepia flisina. So based on the blast analysis and phylogenetic studies, the selected seaweeds have matched the taxa, that is Turbineria conidus, Pedaena tetrastromatica, Spathoglossum asperum and Gratilepia flisina, and RBC pairwise based difference supported the classification of the phylogenetic tree. So the first application what I have studied is larvicidal potential of seaweeds. So to introduce about this heading, mosquitoes are a well-known group of insects which transmit many dreadful diseases causing serious health problems to human beings. So mosquitoes have become physiologically resistant to many synthetic pesticides that we are using nowadays. So it is important to investigate an environmentally safe, degradable and target specific insecticides against these dreadful mosquitoes. So ultimately, phytochemicals with antilarval properties derived from various botanical sources are focused. Quite a lot of work have been carried out in higher plants, but a few attentions were focused on the organisms such as algae. So to know the potentials of different seaweeds on the large cell activity on endemic disease vector is my objective of this part. So the methodology involves first conduct the large cell bioassay in the experimental setup using larvae of Aedes aegypti, Anopheles stephensii and Cuculus cultifaciatus. Then to identify an effective fraction of active large cell compound using the methodology such as column chromatography, TLC, UV spectroscopy and mass spectroscopy. Then finally to find the efficacy of the identified compound using computational method, that is using the bioinformatics tool. First, preparation of seaweed extract. The shade dried seaweed samples were hand crushed and made to powder with a mortar and pestle. Then the extracts were prepared using different solvents such as acetone, ethanol and distilled water. Then the extract was dried in a rotary vacuum evaporator. Then 1 gram of extract was dissolved in 100 ml of respective solvent to make this 1% stock solution. So from this stock solution, different concentrations were prepared. It is 0 is the control. 100, 200, 300, 400 and 500 mg per liter were prepared. So this is the methodology based on WHO procedure. 25 larvae were used and the different actually the seaweed extract were added in a different concentration and it's made up into 100 ml. So larval cell activity was evaluated after 24 hours and 48 hours treatment. The effectiveness was reported as LC50 and LC90 values. This was the result of larval cell activity. The first graph shows that against Aedes aegypti. The LC50 showed maximum in T. conidus in aqueous extract than in ethanol and acetone extract and also from other seaweed extract. So T. conidus shows the maximum, and for Anopheles stephensii also the same result was observed, that is aqueous extract of T. conidus. Then against Cuculus cultifaciatus also the same result was observed, that is against the maximum efficiency was observed in T. conidus acetone aqueous extract. So from the results showed that the aqueous extract of T. conidus show higher efficacy on larval cell activity. So further purification was carried out in the aqueous extract of the seaweed T. conidus. So this was a procedure for isolation of the active compound. After every procedure, the bioassay was conducted. So followed by column chromatography, TLC and UV-Vis and GCMS, the active compound was isolated. This graph shows the isolation of active compound using UV-Vis. The absorption pattern of maximum intensity vibrated at 252 nanometer. So this corresponds to the maximum for tryptantran. Then this graph shows the GCMS analysis. Actually, you can see the two peaks. So the highest peak, that is 62.850, occurs in the compound tryptantran using the library, and the next one is 27.598, that is 6-octodecanoic acid. So from this graph we may conclude that this extract contains higher derivatives of tryptantran. Then the in silico platform, in order to explore and to visualize the binding mechanism of the active compound, which was isolated from the seaweeds with the target protein of mosquito larvae, the molecular docking study was performed. So to introduce about this molecular study, mosquitoes must need cholesterol or other steroid to fulfill their steroid requirement for normal growth, development and reproduction. But as unlike humans, mosquitoes cannot synthesize cholesterol. Mosquitoes take the steroid from the plant material during their larval stage in the form of phytosterol, which is then converted into cholesterol for further growth and reproduction. This conversion occurs with the help of steroid carrier protein, that is SCP2. This protein also has high affinity of expression in the midgut of larvae. So if you block this carrier protein, so it cannot convert the conversion of cholesterol. So the larvae may die. This is a procedure actually pattern is followed here. So searching for the inhibitors of Aedes SCP2 is the way to identify a chemical that could be used in mosquito control. If we block the carrier protein ASP2, it would disrupt the uptake of cholesterol by the mosquito and it cause death. So in this view, screening of active compounds isolated from seaweed extract, which has larval properties, could be an alternative method to find out the viable inhibitor compounds that would disrupt the uptake of cholesterol by mosquito larvae. So the effective larval bioactive compound isolated from T. conidus that we found in DCMS, that is these two compounds, tryptantran and 6-decanoic acid, was selected for molecular docking studies. So these two compounds were compared to bind with the SVP2 molecule. The compound was constructed using the glucosidase molecular modeling package, the X-ray structure of sterile carrier protein obtained from Brookhaven Protein Data Bank. AutoGrid program was used to calculate the grid potential map, and docking calculations were performed with AutoGrid 4.0. And this graph shows the binding and intermolecular energies of the compound tryptophan and the 6-octadecanoic acid with sterile carrier protein. And actually the table shows that it has the binding energy in the range of -6.0 kilocalorie when compared to 6-decanoic acid. And this picture shows that interaction of the compound tryptophan with the SEP2 molecule, and following amino acids are involved, and it shows the hydrophobic interaction with the most potent compound. So based on docking calculation, the isolated large cell bioactive compound, that is tryptophan, showed better inhibition than 6-octadecanoic acid, which is in good agreement with in vitro studies. This is the pictorial representation. That is, when mosquitoes take sterol from the feed, it converts into cholesterol with the help of the sterile carrier protein too. But the compound that were isolated from T. conidus, that is tryptophan, it blocks SCP2, so it results in large cell effect. So in the present investigation, the large cell activity were found to be due to the tryptophan compound present in the seaweed T. conidus. So the next application is the phytoremediation of seaweeds. So to introduce about this topic, world is facing the problems with a wide variety of pollution. One such pollution is the oil spill. So what is oil spill? It's nothing but the release of petroleum hydrocarbon into the environment. Last year alone, there were 21 spills, about 7 to 700 tons of oil, and 3 spills over 700 tons of oil. The last January, Chennai also faced the same problem. And characteristics of oil, actually what happened when this oil spills on the water? So since it's less dense than the water, it's dispersed into top layer of the ocean. So the aquatic wildlife directly subjected to oil pollution and die off. Remaining, it forms the oil clump and it washed to the coastal areas and affect the wildlife. And this was the effect of oil pollution occurs in Chennai, January 2017. So the main component of this petroleum is a hydrocarbon. So many methods are available for the removal of this pollutant, but they are not widely accepted. Biological methods are often preferred because it has many advantages like rapid biodegradation rate, low sludge yield, and excellent process stability. Hydrocarbons, they are biodegraded primarily by bacteria, yeast, and fungi, and also by algae and protozoa. So with this background, the objective of this part is to understand the phytoremediation efficiency of seaweeds on oil spill. The laboratory experiments were focused on culturing seaweeds in different concentration of oil to assess the changes on photosynthetic pigments, biochemical constitutions, and histological analysis were taken up. These are the culturing method of seaweeds. Seaweeds were maintained in modified 230 medium. So the methodology, actually the selected 4 seaweeds were cultured in laboratory condition in modified 230 media so that it can acclimatize to the laboratory condition. Then the 4 seaweeds are inoculated into modified 213 medium that containing seawater that is collected from the oil dock area in the harbors. Among the 4 seaweeds, only T. conidus and Gracilipia flicina were survived, others were disintegrated. So further, 1 gram of T. conidus and Gracilipia flicina were subcultured in modified 213 medium for further analysis. So after 30 days of inoculation, growth was monitored till 80 days. The specific growth rate of the seaweeds was observed. So up to 60 days, the growth was in exponential phase, and after 60th day, it becomes to decline. And the maximum growth of the T. conidus was observed on 60th day and recorded as 5.84 mg per gram, and for Gracilipia flicina, it was recorded as 4.89 mg per gram on the same day. So these are bioremediation studies on laboratory condition. So 3 grams of T. conidus and Gracilipia flicina were subcultured in 213 medium. Then different concentration of oil were added. The oil is crude oil, Servo 20W40. It was added in a different concentration, that is 100, 200, 300, 400 and 500 ppm. Controlled without adding oil. After 4 days, Gracilipia flicina alone disintegrated. So the concentration was modified only for the Gracilipia flicina. That is 25 ppm, 50 ppm, 75 and 100 ppm. So the solvent extracted amount of oil in the medium was analyzed at end of 20, 40, 60 and 80 days. So the experimental setup. After inoculating the seaweeds, T. conidus and Gracilipia flicina in medium containing different concentration of crude oil, the biochemical studies such as protein, carbohydrate and lipid, Then the photosynthetic pigments such as chlorophyll A, total chlorophyll and catechol were studied, and also the histological studies were also carried out. This chart shows the phytoremediation efficacy of the seaweed, T-conides and Gatilipia felicina. So from the graph, it's clear that the maximum efficacy of as a phytoremediating was found in T-conides on 80th day, that is in 100 ppm. So minimum concentration showed 99.6%. Whereas in the Gatilipia felicina on 80th day at 50 ppm, it showed the maximum efficacy. In the higher concentration, the efficacy goes down. And this graph shows the photosynthetic pigments, that is a chlorophyll A content. Here also the maximum was observed on 60th day at 400 ppm. So after 400 ppm it starts to decline. The same was observed in the Gatilipia felicina. At 75 ppm the chlorophyll content was high, then it starts to decline on 80th day. Then it's a carotenoid content of T-conides and Gatilipia felicina, and it was also observed on 80th day maximum at 400 ppm, then it starts to decline, and Gatilipia felicina was also observed at 75 ppm maximum. Then the total chlorophyll content observed at 300 or at 400 ppm, then at 500 ppm the maximum concentration starts to decline. The same was observed in G felicina, that is 75 ppm, it was maximum. The biochemical studies, the carbohydrate content was found to be maximum on 300 ppm. Whereas in the carbohydrate at 60th day, the maximum was found to be at 75 ppm. This is the protein content. Here at 80th day, at 500 ppm, the maximum protein content was found. Whereas in Gatilipia felicina, at 80th day, 75 ppm, at 75 ppm, maximum content was found. So, lipid content at T-conides maximum on 80th day at 500 ppm. Gatilipia felicina showed maximum on 80th day at 100 ppm. So from the photosynthetic pigments and the biochemical studies results reveal that T-conides can able to withstand in the higher concentration up to 400 ppm, whereas Gatilipia felicina can able to withstand only in the diluted state, that is up to 75 ppm. Then the histological studies were carried out. This was the procedure for histological studies. So this was the photographs, histological photographs of Gatilipia felicina. So at 25 ppm, the oil infested into the epidermal cells. So considerable amount of oil was deposited in paracamatous cells of cortex. But at 50 ppm, the paracamatous cells of the cortex showed oil intrusion. So the oil infested paracamatous cells become golden brown when seen under the bright field microscope. Then at 75 ppm, the algal thallus showed the deposition of oil up to the medulla region. The cell wall of the cells was found to be ruptured. The oil containing cells were found to be shrunken, plasmolized and collapsed. But at 100 ppm, the total cell become thin upskirt where the oil was present. So the epidermal cell appeared flaccid, losing the original shape and peels on the upper surface at the higher concentration. These are historical photographs of T-conides. At 100 ppm, the thallus showed oil was deposited limited to the epidermal cells, but not much deposition of oil was noticed in the medullary region. At 200 ppm, the epidermal cell was densely loaded with oil. The cells were found to be slightly plasmolized. The oil deposition was found to be sparingly scattered on few cells of the cortex. At 300 ppm, the oil particles penetrated into the cortical cells of the thallus. The intercellular space was also filled with oil. The cells were shrunken and shape was modified at 300 ppm. So at 400 ppm, the presence of oil bodies disrupted the cells of the epidermal cells. The mobility of oil was also seen. At 500 ppm, the percolation of oil contained in cortical cells as well as the medullary region appeared to be flaccid, loosening their original shape and was shrunken. The cells were collapsed and plasmolized. So conclusion, our results indicate that the concentration of oil utilized in the experiments were directly related to increase the photosynthetic mechanism. So from our results, it's clear that I can suggest that T-conides can be used to remediate the oil at higher concentration, that is up to 400 ppm, and Gatilipia felicina can also be used but in diluted state. The third application is the aquaculture potential of seaweeds. So introduce about this part. Seaweeds are an underused natural and sustainable resource in the feed industry, that is both for aquatic feed and terrestrial feed. Presently, fish meal and soya meal are the major sources of protein in tilapia diets, and these proteins represent the highest cost in the diet. So thus it is important to find alternative protein sources such as algae to have economic success of the aquaculture industry. Algae are gradually being included into fish diet, in particular to replace plant protein concentrates. The benefits of including algae, because it can use as a protein source or food additive, may increase aquaculture's usefulness in human food production. The high protein content of algae and its amino acid profile are the main reason why they are considered a valuable component in tilapia diet. So with this background, my objective is to evolve fish diet using seaweeds to identify the best formulated diet based on their nutritional values. So the methodology includes on 3 steps. One is to find the nutritional value of the seaweeds. The next to formulate the fish diet. The third one is to find the potentiality of this formulated diet. Here I have used the seaweed along with the base substrate because to be as economical. This chart shows the protein and carbohydrate content of seaweed and base substrate, and it's clear that at Patella tetrastomatica, T. conides, Pathoglossum asperum showed maximum protein and carbohydrate content, and in base substrate also rice bran and wheat bran shows maximum. So I have chosen these 3 seaweeds and the 2 base substrate for our further studies. And for the separate study, I have estimated the mineral content, and this was the result of the mineral content. And since I'm going to formulate the diet, it's necessary to identify the presence of heavy metals. So I have studied the heavy metals content in the selected seaweeds, and it also comes in within the permissible level. And next step is to formulate the diet. And these are the ingredients. These are the ingredients and formulation sequence. So in this first 3, that is F1, formulation 1, formulation 2, formulation 3, it consists of a single seaweeds. F4, F5, F6 consist of a combination of 2 different seaweeds. F7 consists of combination of 3 different seaweeds. Here corn oil is used as a binding agent. So this ingredients added in the ratio of 1:1:1:1. So how to prepare the pellets? The dry ingredients were passed through a sieve before mixing into the diet. Mixtures were homogenized in the food mixer, and corn oil is used as a binding agent. The diets were pelleted using meat grinder with 1.5 mm diameter, and this is a photograph of the pellet what I have made. So the best supplementary fish diet formulation was selected based on the maximum nutritional value such as carbohydrate, protein, proximate values such as ash, moisture, fiber content. So this chart shows the carbohydrate and protein content of the formulated fish diet. So from the graph it's clear that F4, the formulation 4, shows the maximum carbohydrate and protein content. And this graph shows the ash, moisture and fiber content of the formulated diet, and here also it's clear that at F4 you can see the maximum content. So based on the result of the above nutritional value formulated, the formulated supplementary fish diet, that is F4, is a combination of Patella tetrastomatica and Spathoglossum asperum, was chosen for the experimental studies. So first we have to analyze the potentiality of that feed, how far it's worked out. So to analyze the potentiality, it's necessary to feed on the commercial fish. So the commercial fish that was used was red tilapia, and this was the experimental setup. The